Hello, my friends, it's Johnaroth, and I have two questions for you. Question 1, why are bagels so delicious? The answer, love. Question 2, can we dominate Magic the Arena through enchantments? And the answer is in this video. Today, we are playing my commander, Calix, Guided by Fate. Calix is a 2/2 for 3 mana, who, whenever Calix or another enchantment enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 on any target creature. His second ability, though, is his real power. And that's whenever Calix or an enchanted creature deals combat damage to your opponent, he gets to create a token that's a copy of a non-legendary enchantment. So you can create multiple enchantments on the battlefield. You can do this once per turn, but every single turn, which is going to get you multiple great effects. As you can see based off the deck, it has a really low curve. There's a lot of low 1 mana cards in here, really great buffs like Ethereal Armor, which buffs up your creatures. We have a lot of great 2-drops in here, which is where most of our creatures are, like Weaver of Harmony, which allows us to make our enchantment creatures stronger, Jukai Naturalist, which discounts our enchantments, Kami of Transience, which is an absolute beast of a card who will get +1/+1s as well as come back from the graveyard. But then when we go to our 3-drop slot, that's really where we get a lot of great enchantments that are going to lock our opponent down. Banishing Light, which can get rid of any non-land permanent. Borrowed Time kind of has the same effect. We have a lot of really powerful enchantments to buff up our creatures, like Ancestral Mask and Cartouche of Strength. And then towards the top end, we have some really powerful cards. Calix is a planeswalker who can help us get more enchantments. Hallowed Haunting, which can create creatures whenever we cast enchantments. And then at the top end of our spectrum, Nissa, Ascended Animus, really powerful planeswalker, as well as Mawari's Wake, which can create more mana for us to cast more spells. There's about 39 lands in this deck to help us get the mana that we need, and it's just a very, very powerful deck. I think Calix is seriously an underrated commander. He's not played enough for as much power as he actually gives you. So we are going to take Calix into the queue and dominate the meta through enchantments. Let's go. First game is against Nicol Bolas, Dragon God, really aggressive planeswalker commander, very powerful. Our opening hand has a lot of really good 1-drops in it, so we are going to keep this. We're going to start off with summoning our Alseid of Life's Bounty, which is a good enchantment that can protect our other creatures. The main thing that concerns me about playing this deck is this is a counterspell type deck, so we can anticipate a lot of issues with that. I'm going to summon the Selfless Savior as another creature and attack. And then we're going to use our Curse of Silence to make his commander cost more. I really like Nicol Bolas as a planeswalker. It's a lot of fun to play. Really recommend it as a card. Okay, our opponent just shocked in a land, which means he probably has a counterspell for our commander. So we are not going to cast our commander right now because it probably will just be countered. So instead, I'm going to cast Cartouche of Strength on Alseid, which will give it +1/+1 and trample. Our opponent is hesitating, trying to figure out whether to counter that or not. Our opponent will not, so we're going to attack, hit him for more. Our deck is really dependent upon our commander to become incredibly strong. So I'm really hoping we can get our commander onto the battlefield to help us win the game. Opponent casts Thought Erasure, which removes a card from our hand. We only have one card left. He does not have any mana, so this is where we strike. I'm going to cast Calix. Gonna put a +1/+1 on Calix, and we're going to attack. We're going to take action and create a copy of Curse of Silence to make his commander even more expensive. So basically, at this point, it's going to be very hard for him to even cast his commander, and we're going to pump up Alcide as a more visible threat. Now, the only thing that scares me is he could have a board wipe or something that could destroy our army right now. That would be a serious problem. So, let's see. We did get our 4th land, which is huge. I am going to cast Hallowed Haunting right now. That way, he'll either have to counter that or deal with our attacking force, one of the two. And our opponent does counter the Hallowed Haunting. Probably a good choice. We're going to attack, swing in. I'm going to make a copy of Alcide. Put a +1/+1 on the other Alcide and pass the turn. Our commander is down to 9. So this could be lethal. Okay, he does cast Terror Tide, which is going to put -1/-1 counters. Unfortunately, that is one of the few ways that will destroy all of our creatures. But he doesn't have enough to do it to all, so it just kills the Selfless Saver and the other Alcide. I should have looked at that a little better. But we are still alive and kicking, so that's good. Okay, put down a land. We're going to attack. Our opponent is down to 2 life. Take a copy of this. Put a +1/+1 there so that we have multiple threats. We're going to pass the turn. So this is where we either win or we're in trouble. If our opponent has another board wipe, that could be bad. Otherwise, we can sacrifice the Alcides to protect other members of the team. It's just too much for our opponent to deal with. Our opponent, because of the Curse of Silence, couldn't even cast his commander. We locked his commander out, and we have too much of a board presence for the opponent to overcome. So, good game. Oh, our next game is unfortunately against Tamiyo. This is a blue deck, blue-green, but it's probably mostly mono-blue. Going to be a lot of counter spells, draw spells, those types of things. I like this hand because it has Light Paws, because it has Audacity, but unfortunately, it is a little slow against Tamiyo. I'm going to mulligan. This hand is not much better. We don't have any green mana, so we're not going to be able to cast any of our green spells. Unfortunately, at this point, I'm probably going to have to mulligan again, which is terrible. I hate mulliganing more than once. This is really, really hard because we do have removal for Tamio early in the game. I'm just gonna gamble a little bit, keep the hand, and see if we can make it. Opponent summons Tamio. We did luck out and draw a command tower, which is great. We could get rid of the Tamio, or alternately, we could get out the Destiny Spinner, which means our cards can't be countered. So I'm going to go for that instead this go around. So our opponent has already transformed
Not just a battle of arms, but of ideas.
Our opponent's already transformed Tamio into her Planeswalker form, which is really unfortunate. However, what we're going to do is we're going to put Sheltered by Ghost on Destiny Spinner, and we're going to take away the Tamio. I did forget about the -1 for Tamio this turn. Let's see. This seems pretty risky to summon Calix, but I'm going to do it anyway. This will probably be countered now because the Destiny Spinner has been turned into a toy artifact, but we are going to have to get rid of the enchantment somehow. So we're just going to attack, keep going. Okay. Okay, our opponent has summoned Azcanta. He is tapped out. There's only 3 cards in the graveyard, so I'm not too worried about Azcanta yet. So I am going to go for Calix. We're going to pump up the Destiny Spinner, attack again. We're going to make a copy of the Sheltered by Ghost and attach it to Calix to protect Calix. We're going to take the search for Azcanta away, and we're going to pump Calix up even more. Calix now has Ward 2 due to Sheltered by Ghosts, which is great. That's going to hurt our opponent from trying to actually target him. Our opponent has a lot of mana open, unfortunately, so we're talking a lot of counter spells. What I am going to do is I want Calix to live, so I'm going to try to pump up the Destiny Spinner even more to cause more damage. Because now our opponent has to make decisions on what we're going to do. Now our Destiny Spinner is a 12-12, or 12-13. So we're attacking for 17 points of damage right now. And our opponent concedes. We get a win against Tamio. For any type of blue deck like this, the key is to be aggressive in the beginning of the game while blue is still finding its footing. If you wait until towards the end of the game with a deck like Tamio, it'll be over for you. They'll be casting counter spells, bouncing all your stuff, multiple planeswalkers, those types of things. So we were able to pull out a win against Tamio. Good game. The next game is against Kinnan, which is one of the top tier commanders. I don't know why they're pairing me up against Kinnan, to be honest with you. I would put Calix at a strong AB tier, but Kinnan is in the top tier bucket, so I'm a little unsure about this pairing. But our opponent also gets to go first, so he's going to have a big advantage on that front. I like this hand, however, against Kinnan, I'm really going to have some sort of removal to get rid of some of his mana dorks, or otherwise he'll just have too much mana and he'll just steamroll us. So we are going to mulligan. This hand is a little bit better. It's not great, but it does have Esper Sentinel, which is going to help us. So we are going to keep. Gonna summon our Esper Sentinel. Esper Sentinel is one of the most powerful 1-drops for white possible. It's really amazing how strong this is. He does summon Kinnan, which is a huge problem for us, unfortunately. I'm going to use the most of my mana and summon the Twin Blade Geist, which is a 1/1 double strike. When it dies, you can throw it onto other creatures, so it can be really powerful. We do get to draw another card, which is great. This is the point of make or break here, because Kinnan next turn is going to be able to cause us some serious problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to first see if he has any counter spells. There was no hesitation there. And I just realized I made a mistake. Because I was thinking Seal from Existence costs 2 mana, it costs 3. So let's see if that hurts us. Our opponent has basically all the mana in the world right now. We're going to cast Prison Realm. We're going to get rid of Kinnan, at least for the moment. We do not need any more lands. We're going to attack. And hope he does not have any counter spells. Do you pay the 1? This is why Esper Sentinel is a great card. He basically has to pay 1 mana, or I'm going to be drawing an additional card every turn. Kinnan has enough mana to use his ultimate. He can look at the top 5 cards and basically take one of them. He gets Kozilek, which is crazy. We are going to seal that away. What I really should have done was cast the Kami first, because it would have gotten a +1/+1. We're going to attack in. And hope that our mistake from earlier in the game does not cost us. Kinnan has so much mana. It's ridiculous. Put down our creature. Or our land. Let's see if we can turn Kinnan into an elk. He's going to use his special ability. to summon Oger Kazlim. He's going to use a special ability again to have a halfling. Luckily, we did manage to turn Kinnan into an elk, so that is a huge deal, actually. Debating where to put my counter. I'm going to put it on the Twin Blade. We're not going to attack. His Kinnan is neutralized right now. He does have so much mana, though. We are going to block with all 3 of our creatures to make sure that Oger cannot get anything out of the deck to put on the battlefield if he deals damage to us. Our opponent's debating what to hurt of our creatures. Enchantments has some really strong creatures because a lot of them have benefits after they're dead. You can get Kami back from the graveyard. You can put the Twin Blades double strike ability on something else. There's just a lot of good things we can do. Now he's wanting us to attack because he wants Kinnan to die, essentially, in order to get Kinnan back, get everything going. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we are going to summon Nissa, hopefully, and we're going to start attacking his mana sources. We're going to start destroying those and see if we can pull out a win here.
Descent will be cut off at the root.
Unfortunately, he has a Hullbreaker Horror now, which is a very strong creature. He does not have anything to use the Hullbreaker's ability, though. We are going to protect Nissa by blocking with the Esper Sentinel. Okay, so unfortunately we don't have a way of dealing with the Hullbreaker Horror unless we attack. If we attack, we can give the Kami of Transience double strike, which is really good. And then we can get an enchantment, which means we could seal the Hullbreaker away. We really need to do an attack here. Going to put the counter on Calix. Yeah, this is really tough. But we have to deal with the Hullbreaker Horror. We have to. We don't have a choice. We're going to take the seal from existence and get rid of the Hullbreaker. Put a counter on Calix. This is also tricky. I'm not sure what to do, other than I do know that I'm going to summon the Skyclave to exile the Oger, so he can't attack with that. Except I can't do that. Yeah, that's a problem. We're gonna take away the halfling, I guess. Now the question is what do we do? We could summon another creature to block his Oger. Quite honestly, I'm debating whether or not I just want to take away another mana source from him. And I think I do. I think I want to keep taking away his mana sources. Because hopefully we can pull out a win next turn. He's going to have to spend a good amount of mana. We are going to block with both of these to ensure he does not get anything from it other than killing our creatures. We're going to put our commander back to the command zone. This is the moment of truth. Because we've been cutting down his mana, he doesn't have enough to really utilize Kinnon's ability as much as he likes. We're going to summon Calix. And hopefully Kami can bring us the win. Attack. Our opponent does have one ability. Oh my gosh. Our opponent managed to somehow top deck a Galta Tyrant Stampede, which basically is going to give him the game at this point. It looked like we really did have it, but playing against Kinnon is always a kind of dice roll. Opponent got really lucky on the top of the card he drew, drawing a 12/12 with trample. I mean, we had a 7/7 double strike creature that should have destroyed almost anything that came out. But at this point, now he has Ulamog, which is a 10/10. We really do not have a good chance of winning at this point. We're going to take the damage, because that would just basically wipe out our whole army. We do have a Banishing Light, but quite honestly, this game is over. Our opponent got really lucky on their top deck, which got them a 12/12 creature onto the battlefield for free. So that's the problem with playing against Kinnon. That's why he's one of the S tier commanders. Overall, it was a really good game, but there's no way we're going to win this, so I am going to concede. Our next opponent is Malcolm, another blue deck. Calix seems to be getting paired up against a lot of blue decks, which is not ideal. But I don't like this hand, to be honest with you. I'm hoping we can get something like a Swords to Plowshares or some sort of fast removal for Malcolm. This is just not aggressive enough. This hand is unfortunately not very good either. There's just nothing we can do early on in the game. I'm going to mulligan again. This hand, we are going to be down a card. However, we do have a Delighted Halfling, which is going to help us cast our creatures without being countered. So that's a win. I am going to keep this hand, even though we're going to be down a card, and hope that we can pull out a win. We're going to put back the Setessan training and hope we can pull something off. Delighted Halfling is a really good card against blue. I put it in almost any deck where I have green, simply for the fact that you can make sure that your creatures are uncounterable if they're legendary. I'm going to put down the Spirited Companion so we can draw another card. Gonna attack with Calix. We're gonna make a copy of the Spirited Companion so we can draw another card. Our opponent summons his commander and quits. Even though we had to mulligan down below what I would normally like, this early on in the game, when we have this many creatures already on the battlefield and all he has is Malcolm, it's going to be really hard for him to come out ahead because we're going to put down a +1/+1. We're talking 9-10 damage easily the next turn. We could have also cast Cartouche of Strength, which means we could have put another +1 on a creature and then also fought Malcolm, which means Malcolm would have died. So this game would have easily been over in the next turn or two. Calix is really good at the early game aggressive style. So if you can just be aggressive early in the game, you're going to be able to beat some decks that can defeat you later on in the game. Good game. Thank you for watching my video featuring Calix, Guided by Fate. Calix is a very strong upper tier commander that I think is kind of underrated and underplayed for how powerful he is. You do get paired up against pretty strong decks like the Ragavans, the Nimissits, the Ruskos, all those types of decks. But Calix has the ability to go the distance against all of them. He can get out enchantments and then copy those enchantments where you will lock down your opponent. When I was creating this deck, I had a game where I had Irmakul and Ulamog from the opponent banished on the battlefield and locked down while I hit them with an Owl Seed that was a 24/24. The deck list is listed down below, but he is a very fun commander where you'll get to play against a variety of different opponents. Thank you for watching my video. The deck list is listed down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as I am a new YouTuber starting to grow my channel. I appreciate your support and I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.